My name is Alex. I'm your host. This is the Real You podcast, episode number 1. Today, we're going to be diving deep into the minds of a teenager. For today's today's guest, I've chosen 5 teenagers that are extraordinarily ordinary. So let me go ahead.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce these guys. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Yep.
My name is Ilya Valores, and I'm 16 years old.
And you go to high
Schaefer
school?
Yeah.
Yeah. What grade are you in?
I'm a 11th grader.
Excellent. Yeah.
My name is Alejandro Lopez. I'm a senior, 18. Go to Pioneer High School.
My name is Nikolai Dajlala. I'm 16 as well. I go to Pioneer High School. I'm a junior.
My name is Diego de Leon. I turned 17 yesterday, and I'm a junior in Sheridan High School.
My name is Diego Lopez. I'm 16. I go to Pioneer High School.
All right, so guys, first of all, I want to thank you guys for being here. So one of the things that I've been studying a lot lately is just behavior, right? Just people's behavior, why people act a certain way and so forth, right? And it's all for the purpose of just trying to figure out like what makes certain people successful while others are not, right? And one of the things that I want to look at is, okay, so what exactly is going through your heads right now? As a parent, as teachers, coaches, we all can sometimes assume that because we were teenagers at some point in our lives, that we know exactly what you guys are going through. And even though I think there's going to be a lot of similarities, there's got to be some differences, right? Because it's a different era. You guys have different parents than the ones we had. We had, different experiences and so forth, right? And so rather than guessing what it is that you guys go through, I figured why not just ask you guys. So I want you guys to talk about some of the things, some of the struggles, maybe some of the things that you wish your parents knew or your teachers knew or your coaches that they don't know, or maybe you're already thinking in your head, well, when I'm a parent or when I'm an adult, I'm going to do things differently. What exactly it is that you would do different and so forth, right? So open floor, guys, whoever wants to start. Let's go ahead and start by sharing some of the struggles that teenagers go through these days. Well, whoever, just whoever wants to jump in.
You go ahead, Ilya.
Ilya, all right, Levin's been selected.
Struggles. I feel like the struggles like today is that we have too much freedom. Like the internet, we have too much things that we can look into. Good things and bad things, and most of the times people like lean on looking at the bad things, right? And we have to learn how to like monitor that. And of course, looking at the bad things, it's also good because we could restrict ourselves. Like most people that don't have sugar when they're young, when they grow up, they like obsess over sugar and they become like obese and diabetic. So they learn how to control their sugar as a young like kid, right? So I feel like just knowing how to administrate like internet usage would be like very.
So when you're talking about freedom, you're talking about the amount of information that's available to you guys, or the amount of time you have on your hands?
I feel like both. I mean, because if you have things to do, you're not going to be focused on just in the internet, right? Like looking at bad things, right? But
right.
I mean, it goes both ways.
What are your thoughts? Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with him. Like most teenagers stay up until 3 a.m. doing nothing, just scrolling on TikTok. Well, when they could be waking up early and having like extra 4 hours of the day.
I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty addicting. Like you get on your phone and somebody sends you a meme or a video, you start watching it, and it distracts you just like that. I know it happens to me, and and that's because I think that I'm one of those people that are pretty focused. But in reality, we fall into the same traps you guys do, right? So it is pretty addicting. So what would you say would be the percentage of, I don't know, high school students right now going to bed past, I don't know, 1 o'clock?
At least like 70.
Yeah, 70%.
70%.
Yeah.
So on average, will are, and obviously, guys, this is a safe zone. So answer honestly, like what time do you guys normally go to bed or go to sleep? Not go to bed, but go to sleep.
Well, winter break right now, like 2 a.m. But like average like school night like 11:30.
Yeah, in school like 11.
Yeah,
But I was thinking.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
But is do you think that's pretty average for everybody, or you guys are going to bed earlier than most, or
I
what,
think
what do you
actually
think?
sometimes it's earlier than some people say.
I feel like compared to some
Yeah.
people, like
I
in
think because
soccer
we're
and
all
stuff,
athletes, I think
Yeah.
we go to bed earlier
Yeah.
because we're more tired. Like we have a longer day than most people. So
Mhm.
But I also hear some friends going into school saying, "Oh, I didn't sleep tonight." I was
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I remember that as a teacher. I remember students telling me that they slept an hour or 2 hours or whatnot, but which is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Okay, so what's the latest? What's the latest you guys have been up like on a school night, just playing games, or I don't know, swiping through your phone or whatnot?
that's a good question.
Like 1 a.m.
Yeah, probably like around 1.
Yeah.
Probably like
Yeah.
2.
But now in the break, it's like way more.
Yeah, now in the break it's like
the latest on school night is probably like 12:30.
12:30.
Yeah.
How does that affect your performance throughout the day?
You definitely feel more tired because like,
Especially in the boring class, you
Yeah.
just start drifting.
yeah, you start
and then
drifting
also
out.
with like the lunch schedule and stuff, like depending on like which lunch you have, depends on like how tired you're gonna be throughout that time. Because like the kids have earlier lunches that go to sleep late, like they end up being more tired later, like in later classes, like fourth and fifth block, because like they like don't have any sleep and then they ate early, so they're like on an empty stomach in a late class with no sleep.
And I feel like it affects the productivity sometimes. Um, like if I feel tired, it's like an excuse where it's like, okay, I don't want to do anything today, and then you go home, and then it's the same thing. It's like, okay, let me get sleep, and then you actually wake up, and then it's like you'll stay up again, and then the whole cycle just repeats. I feel like it can be like that sometimes.
So how do you snap out of it?
How do I want?
How do you end up snapping out of it, or what would you recommend like to people to snap out of it as far as not getting stuck in that cycle where you go to sleep really late at night, you're really tired at school, you don't get shit done, and repeat.
Maybe create like a small like schedule for yourself, and it's like doesn't have to be super like exact, but at least like from here to here, okay, I should be going to sleep. That way, when I wake up, I am rested, and even if you don't have time in like one class, it's like, okay, in this class I know that I got time, like maybe I can do and get stuff done, and then stuff like that.
I see a good thing is before bed, putting your phone away. Someone far where you can't use it at all.
Yeah, do you find that it's really hard if it's right next to you?
Yeah.
People text or you get notifications or whatnot.
Or like restricted screen time might be like another like good option too. Like
Yeah.
like if you're on it scrolling and like it just cuts you off at one point because it's like too much.
One of the things that I started doing was I just started like literally I got on my phone, open up my settings for the app notifications, and just turn off all the freaking notifications that I don't need. Like, because it really is. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You may be doing something really important, but that notification kicks in. You want to look. You want to see your phone, right? And so I just turn all of most of mine off, right? That doesn't mean that I don't get on social media anymore. It's just that now when I get on social media, it's because I actively look for the app rather than the app just calling me out. Have you guys ever tried doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With certain social media.
I usually
Turn it
go on-
on. It's getting hot in here.
I think I only have notifications on messages, so like only something that's like important,
I sometimes go on Do Not Disturb when I just don't want to use it.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, like
That helps a lot too.
go to sleep especially. Yeah.
Okay.
The D&D warrior.
Yeah. All right. So other than the distractions of technology, your phone, what else? What are some other struggles?
I know, me personally, right? I feel like since we're all athletes here, right, we can relate to this. But most of us, we work out every single day, and most of the people here, like McAllen is like one of the most obese cities in the
Yeah.
U.S. I mean, that's tragic. Like you walk out to Walmart and you see 300 plus people, which is not normal. Which
All on the
means normal,
dragon
like
scooter things.
Right.
like people cracking the floor because they walk on them like it's crazy.
Damn. Hey, chill.
No, but like,
Tough.
like I feel just getting the exercise, like people walking. I've seen people walk outside, just getting like some fresh air, like instead of being stuck inside eating snacks, just watching Netflix, which is very good, right? But after you work out, after you do something physical,
That's a very good point. I saw that report, like, and some of the fattest cities in the nation are all here in the Rio Grande Valley, which is insane, right? What do you guys attribute that to? What do you
I
think?
think that it's probably I think it has part of it has to do with like obviously the restaurants and the food here, but not just that. But I also think that like geographically, because if you really think about it, like I think the valley itself is real spread out in terms of like you have this city, this city, this city, and to get from one thing to another, you have to. It's always a drive.
A drive, right? Like it doesn't lend itself for you to be walking places.
Like
In other
you
words,
I can't just like walk out of the house and just
yeah,
walk.
we're not very outdoorsy. Like, well, here, I mean, just hunting, but you sit in a freaking blind.
I feel like there's like a lot of low expectations for everyone, especially here. Like I remember we were at school and the police officers were getting a presentation, and this guy over here asked the police officers, "If you need a fitness test to be a police officer, then why is there so many obese police officers?"
I didn't say that.
And then they
Yeah, you actually asked them that.
I said, how is there so much overweight police officers?
That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Why is the floor cracking?
Well, the thing is that they probably give them a test to get in, but they don't. There's no maintenance, right? Like there's no follow up. Like, okay, once you're in, and
Like,
that's
yeah,
it.
and you just start eating, like, gaining weight
Yeah.
crazy.
Which, by the way, that's something that as athletes you guys do have to be careful, because it does happen after you graduate from high school. If you don't end up playing at the collegiate level, it's very easy to gain weight. I mean, it's so easy. Why? Because now you're going to be eating more, and you're going to be eating. I mean, you're going to be working out a lot less. Your life completely changes, and perhaps maybe you start drinking alcohol or beer or whatnot, and all of that stuff. It makes you gain weight very, very quickly. So that's definitely something you guys are going to have to watch out.
I feel like
So
for
you
those
graduate.
people that don't do any type of exercise throughout the, especially in their break right now, they have so much time to do it. Fill up the whole day with like a schedule of something to do, exercise, eat, or do something productive. And instead of doing that, they just sit and rot in their beds the entire day.
I think that's like
Entire
another
break.
issue is like
Yeah.
productivity,
Mhm.
especially because like you said, we have so much freedom, but yet like productivity is another problem. You know,
But I feel like people are like trying to change it, because on TikTok I've been scrolling, like I'm in the car and I just get inspiration of like people go out, do something, like, and it gets people hype, with thousands, millions of likes. So I feel like people are also trying to change it.
Yeah, but most people just scroll past it and watch TV.
Yeah, it just really depends on the content you're, but which is very important, right? I mean, that's basically your environment, right? So that old adage that like, tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are, right? And that's really, really true, right? You are an average of the 5 people you hang out with. But add to that social media and the content you're watching, right? So if you're watching crap, I mean, that's technically your environment, right? If you're watching inspirational stuff, then chances are you're going to be a little bit more inspired. But yeah, so I really think that what you're saying, Eliab, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like there is a lot of people out there trying to help. It's just, are trying to motivate you. Just maybe some people are just not paying attention. I know that earlier, in the year, I give you guys a little poster to hang in your walls. Who can tell me what it says?
We don't.
we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the levels of our habits.
We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our habits, right? And so you're talking about people right now during the break. They have a lot of time, so why don't they do it?
They're just in the habit of not doing anything.
It's the habits.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times it's not that they don't want to. Like in their head, they're like, well, when the break comes around, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna lose weight, and when I get older, I'm gonna make money, and when I do this, I'm gonna do that. And the thing is that people, it's very easy to think that you have a plan because in your head you have a vision of what you want to do, but that's not necessarily a plan.
Yeah, when you have the vision and you're only like 5% there, you have to once you start doing it, then it's when it really gets real. Instead of in your head all the time.
Right now that you guys are juniors and seniors, have you guys figured out what it is that you want to do, or how hard is it for guys or teenagers your age to figure out a career path? I know that when I taught for 16 years, almost, I would say, I don't know, 85%, maybe 90% of our students didn't really know what they wanted to do. Most of them, you would ask them, what is it you're going to do? Well, I don't know. I'm still looking and so forth, right? So it's pretty common. It's pretty normal. Has that changed? Are you still guys struggling with the idea of like trying to figure out what we're going to do?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty normal. I mean, everybody's still like trying to figure their life out. Like they don't know if they're gonna go to college. They don't know if they're gonna get a job. Like they don't know what to do with their lives right now.
Yeah, especially now, no one can decide.
yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with like the actual like school systems because like we don't really teach enough about like specific jobs and specific things that you can actually do in your life. More just like simple stuff like English, math, science. But like you don't really go into like the career clusters as much. So
Yeah.
it just makes people less like
Or
more
the math
indecisive.
stuff, like everyone's always asking in class, like, how is this gonna help us in life? And the teachers always say it's not, but it's you have to do it. It's part of school.
I think that plays a big.
I never said that. What I always told students is I would always, when people would ask me like, how am I going to use this in my life? I would always turn it back around on them and ask them, was like, what is it that you're going to do? Well, I don't know. If you don't know what you're going to do, how do you know you're not going to use it? You understand? And so the idea is that the more knowledge you have, it's going to be better. But knowledge itself is not power. A lot of people say knowledge is power. That's bullshit. Knowledge is just potential power. Knowledge does not become powerful until you actually put some action behind it. Because what's the point of having all this knowledge in your head if you don't do anything with it? It's completely useless, right? But I do get what you're saying, right? It is very important. One of the things that I know that some school districts, they're like pushing a lot this trying to get you guys to specialize in one area, right? And so you get this, I forget what they call them, but accreditations or whatnot, like a business or health or whatnot.
It like closes you.
Right, like this cluster, right? Which, in my opinion, I don't know what you guys think, but in my opinion, that's kind of screwed up. Like I think high school should be the opposite. High school should be like try as many different things and don't focus in one area because you don't even know you're gonna even like that.
Yes.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
I think that is true, and I feel like, especially like as you progress through high school, um, and with like everything closing down, I think that you just like kind of run out of like passions. You know what I mean? And I think passion and like wanting to do something has a huge factor in like what you want to do with like your life. You know, like you don't see people like saying like, "Oh, I want to be like a marine biologist" anymore. Like everyone just wants to say, "I just want to find a way to make money." Like no one really has something that they like to do or want to do anymore.
Correct.
And so they're just like, I don't know what I want to do. They just leave. They just want to find a way to just
Make money, make money.
just
Yeah.
make money or just survive or whatever. They just don't really have like wants to follow something that they like.
What would you consider like? What would be your definition of success, Elia?
But well, success, I feel, is just the freedom to do whatever you want without having to worry about how you're gonna provide for your family. Where like, as in your family's already provided for, and you can just do whatever you feel like it. And you'll be fine.
Very good. Very good. Anybody else have a different definition of that?
I think like it has to do with like fulfillment as well. You know, because like success, I don't think it's just 100% like money. You know, or like providing because there's a lot of people who make a lot of money but like don't always seem to be the happiest because they're just so busy all the time or
Yeah.
they don't have time for this. Like all they really like if you are doing it just for one purpose or like just for the purpose of making money, like I feel like it's not always the best approach because it's like you have to enjoy yourself. Otherwise you don't have a purpose
Correct.
for doing it. Like you kind of need to have a purpose and like a why.
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned just from my own personal growth, I listen to Tony Robbins, I listen to Simon Sinek, John Maxwell, a bunch of different people, but Tony Robbins says that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, right? And I do think right now, especially in my industry in real estate, a lot of people just focus so much on the money, 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 and a lot of realtors are always showing like, the realtor lifestyle, and it's just about, you know, assets, basically, just, toys and whatnot, right? And all of that stuff is good. I definitely think that you guys need to go out there and try to get that, but definitely should not be your only focus. Your focus should also include, like you said, doing something you actually enjoy, right? Or following your passion. How hard is it right now, though, to try to find that? I mean, have you guys put any thought into it? And I do remember when I was your age, it's hard. It's like you tend to like this and you tend to like that, and you like a lot of different things, right? So how do you? What's your method right now, or what's going through your head, or are you just kind of putting that off until you graduate, or what's going on?
I think the best way is like trial and error. Just try a little bit of everything and see which one you like best.
No.
Or sometimes I like to look at something that's like stuck with me, because you can like a lot of things, but there's always going to be something that really sticks with you. And for me personally, that's like
Called you.
that's like cars. I love cars, and like I just think that like if I wanted to do something with that passion, it would probably be like owning my own dealership or something. Just something that I know that I can enjoy for a long period of time,
Right.
and not be like tired of it.
Well, there's two schools of thoughts, right? So one, some people say, follow your passion. Other people say, doesn't matter what your passion is, follow what you're good at, right? I guess blessed are those that it's both, right? Like if your passion is soccer, for example, and you happen to be really good in soccer, well, shit, badass, you know? So,
But there's also a lot of pressure on people right now. I feel like everybody, oh, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, because it's a very like the pool for money is enormous, right? There's a lot of money involved in there, right? But I feel like people right now we have to find our passion, but it also has to balance out with the money that
correct.
we're gonna like end up getting from our passion, or that we actually enjoy
Yeah.
doing. Because at the end of the day, like we're gonna be doing that for the rest of our lives, basically, and we're gonna want to enjoy like earning money and in the right way.
Yeah, I definitely think you definitely cannot leave the money out of it, right? And so, like for me, I focus on four different things, right? Which is family, faith, finance, which is the money, and fitness, right? Actually, finance. When I talk about finance, I talk about two different resources, right? Money, which is one of them, but actually, our most precious resource is time, right? If you have to learn how to manage your money, and you have to learn how to manage your time. If you guys can master those two skills, you're going to be way better off. You're going to be ahead of a lot of different people. Learn to manage your money and learn to manage your time. Because your time, of course, it also taps into your habits, which habits tap into your potential and so forth, right? But anyway, okay. All right. Anything else? What about drugs, alcohol, women?
A big one is just like honestly like it's kind of crazy, but like I feel like the people now like from our generation are like kind of like just different, like a little weird. Like some kids don't know how to take jokes. Some kids take jokes like hard. Like some kids are just like weird.
So oversensitive and
Yeah, and I think
not sensitive enough.
a lot of it goes back to technology. A lot of it goes back to technology though, because like there's like a bunch of like super stupid stuff like out there, and like people like start catching on, and then like they just start acting like idiots.
Yeah, I think it's normal to like hate on certain groups of people or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not right. But
people like you look at them and like this person is not real.
Yeah.
like on the other hand, there's other people that like can't take a joke. Like you can't tell them anything without them getting super offended. So there is two extremes, and there's no like middle point. Like it's you're either this or you're this, and there's no one that's really balanced anymore.
Yeah, that is kind of that is kind of messed
I feel,
up.
I feel like it's also a social development, you know? Like back in the, when we were still like growing up to 2020, right? The COVID years we were stuck in, everybody was on their phones, most of the people didn't talk to anybody. And that like really affected how you could like converse with people and they didn't like learn how to achieve like taking jokes or how to make a joke. You know, like people
Yeah.
don't have that type of interacting yeah, like with people because of the technology that they've been stuck in their whole lives.
Well, I mean, I also think that it has to do with everybody seems to think that in order to stand out, you just have to make a lot of noise, right? And the louder you get, the more likes you get, and whatnot, right? It's the shock factor, right? Which is kind of destroyed, in my personal opinion, our media because now they don't focus on reporting the truth. They focus on ratings. They focus on shocking, right? So if you watch the news, they feed you a bunch of crap because they want to instill fear in you, and everything is about shocking, right? And I think people tend to do the same way, right? Like instead of just saying a normal joke, like you said, like somewhere in between where it's, maybe not necessarily politically correct, but it's not that bad either. Like, come on, take a joke, right? But people don't do that. People take it too far, right? Because it's like the whole shock factor. Like I got to be louder than the last guy,
Any
right?
publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. Any other topics you guys want to talk about? What about dating? How's that? It's good.
It's good.
It's good when you have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good when
I
you.
mean, I think that for like other
This guy's giving me the shout out to his girlfriend. Oh, it's great! It's great.
It's great.
yeah. No,
I mean, is it difficult, like talking to parents, or I mean,
For me, it's not. I tell my parents a lot of stuff. Obviously, there's some like sense of privacy as well too. Like they don't really bother me. They leave it open to me. Like,
well, we don't want to know everything. That's for sure.
they let me tell them what I want to tell them.
Right.
And everything else they just leave to my private life.
I think it's better than like always looking for girls when you already have one. That goes away.
I think that's a huge problem. Like that, a lot of people, like especially our age, like they don't.
They're like craving validation from a girl.
They just want whatever, right? But and I think dating, like for us, like teenagers, like it can be hard for most people. Like I know, like especially you as like you used to be a teacher, you would see a lot of times like relationships that last like a couple weeks, like a month, you know?
Right.
And I think it's because like people can be so quick to like just jump into things like the first sign of like a feeling, they'll just jump in without really like knowing who the person like really is, you know?
Right.
Like I'm grateful that like I actually got to, get to know Michelle Catherine. I actually got to know, her, and
Hey, at the time of this airing, no, I'm just kidding.
okay.
All right, let him finish. Let him finish.
No, yeah, like I think that it's important to like actually get to know the person and like think about like the values y'all have, and because we're getting ready to move on like to the next stages of life,
Yeah.
and like if you really want to grow with that person, then y'all have to like have those same values, y'all have to be willing to see each other fail or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like just as long as y'all can support each other and have those same values and are willing to work together, then like it's good,
I've given this advice to a bunch of people. I got this advice from one of my high school coaches, actually, Coach Thompson, right, Richard Thompson, because he was the FCA director as well. But anyway, and I remember he told us this, right? I know it sounds a little scary, but please pay attention to it, right? Don't jump to conclusions. But he says, don't ever date somebody that you wouldn't marry, right? And so I've told that to a bunch of my former students, right? And they're like, well, I don't plan on getting married. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you are gonna only date somebody unless you can get married. But I'm just never date somebody that you wouldn't marry. Well, because let's be real. Like, what if I don't know? What if you end up getting your girlfriend pregnant? Now you're stuck. Like, you're gonna be connected to that person forever, right? And so, or you end up falling in love. This is how people end up falling in love with the wrong people. Well, shit. If you knew this is not the type of person you wanted, why'd you hang out with them so much, right? And so I don't know. I always thought that was pretty good advice that I got from my
I
coach.
also have a very like controversial take. It's it's like very like frowned upon. I don't know how to, but there's a lot of like lustful relationships going on, right? That's not very like actual love, but then accidents happen. It's a lot of things that have been normalized like by the world, which is like, I mean, depends who you are. Like if it's right, I mean, I'm no one to like set a standard, right? But
Right.
I feel like yeah, like just like now in these days, like yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And one of the things that I always told my students was this, right? It's like, look, at the end of the day, you guys are going to be adults at some point in your life. So even though right now you think like, oh, screw it, I'm young, I'm supposed to do stupid shit and whatnot. Well, look, you're going to be an adult. And what you do right now is going to carry with you forever, right? And so just imagine how you would feel if you knew that your mom or your dad did this, that did that, blah, blah. Like all these things, like when they were younger, you'd kind of lose a little bit of respect for them.
In the future, we're already gonna know exactly
Right, yeah. I mean,
what they did, how they look, everything, all the videos.
yeah. Especially with everything right now, everything has a digital footprint. Yeah, good job. Uh, he gets an A. He gets an A for that one. Yeah. So yeah, you do have to be careful with that because it's never gonna go away. It's always gonna be around, and you just don't know what how you're gonna react to it later, or your kids, or your future wife, or whatever. It's just
I mean, like, there's like a lot of girls that are very lustful, I would say. I mean, like, especially nowadays, it's kind of weird.
girls more so than guys, or
I would say
Or-
more than you would expect, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would
Yeah.
say more than guys, but I would say more than you would expect. Like, really, yeah, I know.
I think I think with girls, obviously you want to date to marry. Like right now, as much as like I love my girlfriend right now, it's
Yeah.
like I would marry her for sure. But at the same time, you have to be realistic and you have to think like certain things have to happen right in order for us to last all the way through high school, all the way through college, and then get married.
Correct.
Like it has to happen right, and it's just kind of like difficult, like for like a high schooler to process that because they're like so like in love or whatever.
Mhm.
But like at the same time, you have to be realistic with yourself.
Yeah, and one of the toughest things I think that people your age
Please
go
don't
through. We're going to delete. But no. So one of the things that I know that I've personally seen, and perhaps I even experienced myself, was that you do make a lot of extremely important decisions based on your current relationships, which you were talking about. You don't even know if you're going to last with them forever. So it is kind of, because maybe you don't want to go to this college or that college or whatever it is, right? Or simply because it's inconvenient right now or whatnot. I've seen that a lot, for example, a senior guy and a junior girl, and he wanted to go off to college, for example, and he says, no, I decided to stay one more year until she graduates. Was that the right move? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I mean, who the hell am I to tell them, right? But I'm just saying it is kind of tough to be making those decisions that affect your life in the long term based off what may be short term relationships.
But I think that also is part of it. Like that's why you kind of have to really know the person, so that way you don't have to end up like cornered, where it's like, okay, like this decision I have to make. Like, you kind of have to know, like, what, the type of person, what their future is, because I think that, like,
So-
that is really important for me.
So are you having those conversations right now? Like,
With my girlfriend?
yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
No,
my
we
opinion-
talk about the future a lot.
In my opinion, like if you know that girl's like the type of girl you would want to marry, even if you don't work out, at least you know the type of woman you want to have.
Exactly.
Oh, that's pretty deep right there. Yeah. Diego getting deep. Yeah. So are you guys having those conversations with people that you're dating or potentially dating or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like for me, I told her like that she's not gonna affect my college decision or anything. Like I'm gonna like live my life. And, like yeah, I'm gonna do me, and like if she follows, she follows. Like whatever. But like
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds kind of like mean to say, but I'm trying to get my college paid for, and whoever pays for my college, like I'm going there regardless.
What if it's your dad? It's your dad. Well, I mean, I think it's important to have those conversations, and I think it's important to be, honest. And I think honesty is always going to be better, right? But you do have to be tactful when you say stuff like that, right? But but I think, I mean, at the end of the day, how can a person not admire that, right? You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Like I'm gonna chase my dreams regardless. Like
so what are your dreams?
pro soccer player.
Pro soccer. Nice. Excellent. De Leon?
I would want to play soccer, but like be more realistic. I don't think I would make it all the way to 30. And so I want to do something like in business and technology, like something with AI, but like also like being the person behind it, like telling everyone what to do with it.
Very cool. You, Diego?
Yeah, honestly, like pretty much the same as Diego, like business and tech. I like marketing.
Mm.
Yeah, and business.
Yep.
Claudio, pro soccer player, right? Of course, that's everybody's dream. But anything else? I mean, I can't think of anything right now. That's still like in process. But yeah,
You?
I want to become a real estate investor.
So the way you got to look at it right now is it's like, look, those are your core values, right? And so your core values have to be the ones that guide your decision making. They have to be, right? Because otherwise you're going to choose wrong, right? And so when you don't know what decision to make, very simple. Does it fall within my core values? Does this help me get closer to my goal or further away, right? As you know, I taught, or coached soccer for 16 years, and I always had, athletes that say, well, I want to go, pro. And then they would get offered like, second division or the third division, and they're like, no, I don't want to go there. Why not? Well, because I only want to go D1. Well, no shit, everybody wants to go D1. But if you're not D1 year one, do you really think not going play anywhere, does that get you closer or further away, right? And so I never understood that, right? I'm like, hey, seriously, like if that's your goal, then screw it, go D2, D3. There's been plenty of players that move up and end up going. You just never know. As you have to stay in the game. You have to stay in the game. That's the way I see it. As soon as you step out, you've given up on that, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that goes for anything, right? That goes for real estate investor or for marketing or business, whatever it is, right? So, right now, maybe you don't even know what school do you want to go to because you feel like you have thousands of schools to choose from. Well, let me make it clear. First of all, you don't have thousands, right? You don't even have hundreds. I can guarantee you that. Because by process of elimination, there's already going to be a lot of schools that perhaps maybe you can't afford, perhaps maybe you can't get in because you don't have the grades, or maybe they don't even have the major that you even want, right? And so process of elimination, then start looking at, okay, well, this is where I need to start going, right? Does that make sense? All right, what else you guys got? Anything else? Pretty much everything you've said right now, sounds very similar to the struggles that we went to. As far as the distractions, I mean, we didn't have the technology that you guys have, or as much, for sure. But look, right now at your age, maybe technology is a distraction, and then you get in your 20s, and it may be alcohol, and it may be women, or whatever. But I guarantee you, distractions don't go away. You're gonna have them. You're gonna have them. So you got to learn how to deal with them. What piece of advice would you give your teachers on how to connect with you better? Maybe your teachers, maybe your parents, anybody else.
I guess like just stay open minded. You know, I think that especially with like my teachers, I think that whenever you try to have a conversation with someone, like a teacher or something, and they just already have their own opinion on something, and they already are thinking a certain way, then it's really hard to communicate with them like that because they don't want to fully listen or fully open up to what you're saying or what your thoughts are. And so I just think that like having an open mind is like important to better understand like not just us but like really like anyone.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. Anybody else?
I think maybe connecting their lessons to like real world scenarios. So like it doesn't raise the question of, well, how am I going to use this in real life? Maybe it'll open like kids' eyes, like, oh shoot, maybe I could use this for this profession, and like it'll gain more like intrigue into the subject. I mean, or maybe not. It might drive them away too. But I think it's good to throw it out there, like a scenario where you might use that subject.
Correct. Anyone else? What are some of the things that you wish you were being taught in school?
How to do taxes.
How to do taxes?
Yeah, just
That's it. It's finances. Yeah.
So, I mean, I took a business marketing and finances class, and there's no finances. They don't teach you
Especially
anything.
as being a husband, like your wife looks at you like it is. If you don't know how to pay it,
You got it, bro.
You're on the phone like on hold for 2 hours, not knowing what to do.
Yep. Anything else? Any other subjects you guys want to touch on before we tap out? No?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? All right. Well, let's go ahead and end it. Guys, thank you so much for the opportunity to converse with you guys. Hopefully we can do another one. If you guys think of anything else, any other subjects that we want to touch up on, or anybody else that wants to come along. All right. See you guys next time. Take care.